Fancy title here, but secure from day one. Building production-ready MCP servers. So just a quick note about me. My name's Nick from Canada. I'm currently a developer advocate at Pomerium, but still very much an engineer at heart. And these are all the places you can find me. And we're just going to cover these things here today. So kind of building on some of today's conversations that have already happened in other talks. What is zero trust security? Is anybody familiar with zero trust security here? Cool. All right. And then why zero trust for MCP? And we'll go over like OAuth scopes versus like tool level policies. And then we'll have a demo. Most of this is going to just be me clicking and showing stuff, basically how I do dev normally. And then just kind of like some of the takeaways and what we solved with this kind of workflow. So like, I don't know if people caught it this morning, but during that FinTech panel, I don't know the gentleman's name, but he was talking about how they leveraged zero trust to secure their MCPs. And there's like been multiple talks, and there's also OAuth where Will's at. They'll be talking about a gateway later today too. So gateways are kind of all around right now, I think, in MCP land that people are talking about. So what is zero trust? So there's a few things to it. So there's no implicit trust ever, not even inside your own network. There's not a VPN in this scenario typically. Zero trust security can live within a VPN, but ideally you can just go straight to zero trust at some point. And it's strong identity verification, and it's context aware. It's like every request is always verified through a policy engine, and obviously your login. And the context aware can be anything. It can be device posture, it could be time of day, it could be role-based. It can be a combo of all that, or it could be just as simple as like, is your email this domain? And like I said, every request is validated. Unlike traditional perimeter-based security where typically you just log in and you're just kind of there for the day and you have access to the whole network. So I'll just give a quick breakdown of what an identity-aware proxy is. So it's a few things. So there's the identity provider. So that's like your Google, your Entra, Keycloak, GitHub, whatever your organization uses. There's a policy engine, it's dynamic, and then there's a proxy. So, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world. Like there's no more of this like I'm in office or I'm out of office. It's literally wherever you are. So the first thing to note about zero trust security is all these resources that you're accessing, they're publicly available, these addresses. Like think of them as like websites in general. You do your login flow like normal. And then assuming you're logged in, depending on what resource you're going to access, it's going to check the policies that are related to that. So the policy engine kicks in, so it'll go like, Will's trying to access some super secret OAuth.ai resource. He's in the OAuth.ai org, so all good. And then after that, you get access to the actual resource. And if you don't get access to that resource, the thing to note here is you never even get to that resource to be denied. You just never go past the proxy. And like I was saying, just to hammer this home for zero trust, it's literally every request. And the reason, not the reason, but some people ask sometimes like, well, isn't there latency then? And this is typically installed at your network's edge where your internal resources are. So there's technically some latency, but it's like milliseconds. Okay, so why zero trust for MCP? So it's kind of a rinse and repeat, but pretty much everything I said about zero trust already. But also there's policies that can be fine-grained. We're going to talk about this when we talk about OAuth scopes. You have that visibility because you're going through the proxy. You get that auditing for free out of the box, and you'll get some OTel traces. Use whatever OTel collector you want to. And if you take a peek at the MCP security best practices, they mention a lot of things, including a proxy. If you read through the security best practices, they don't say it, but it sounds like zero trust security under the hood. So let's talk about OAuth a bit. I'll mention I am not an OAuth expert. I think the only person I know who is maybe Den on the MCP team, or that guy from Okta. I don't know his name, but basically, think about like the GitHub MCP server, and I'm going to show this later. But there's a bunch of tools related to the repository. Now, when you want to use the GitHub MCP server, the scope you need to get is repo, and the repo scope is quite large. So it's one thing if you're a human accessing things and clicking buttons, like you're aware that you're creating a repository, you're aware you're about to delete it because it gives you that like put in the name and click OK, are you sure, like swear on your grandmother's life, blah, blah, blah. But in the case of agentic, they don't have grandmothers. So, and like, the thing is, like, who knows what happens in agentic sometimes? You might say, like, oh, yeah, just go ahead, create me a repo. And then for whatever reason, the prompt, like, who knows? Maybe it all of a sudden spins up like 100 new repos, and that's not necessarily something you want. These are just examples that I'm putting here, but like creating a pull request, maybe that's fine for an MCP to do, but maybe creating a repo, you want to restrict that. And so even though you get these coarse-grained scopes with OAuth, with Zero Trust, you can apply fine-grained policies to not just the MCP server, but also at the tool level. Cool. And these things that I'm talking about here are more specific to Pomerium where I work. It's, in a nutshell, it's an identity-aware proxy. It's open core, so like everything I'm talking about is in the open source version, so this is not a sales call or anything. Some niceties, like who loves implementing OAuth here? Hands or no? Okay, you maybe? Yeah, you smiled. I don't know. I don't know. It's like Dan Delamarski, who's on the steering committee. He wrote a blog post about this. Like, just don't write your own auth. And I think it makes sense. Like there's security experts out there. I work with some very talented people, and I did not implement this, but if you're using our identity-aware proxy, you essentially don't have to implement OAuth. So you can create a bare, and for this talk, we're really focusing on remote MCPs, specifically streamable HTTP, but also SSE as well. So you don't even have to implement it. You have the gateway or the identity-aware proxy. And so you can have like a bare MCP server because it's gated by the gateway. So what will happen is like that whole identity-aware proxy flow, think of that as like your OAuth right there. Now, the other thing too is you might have an MCP server that connects to an upstream service. Like, think like Google, so a classic might be like, you want to access a calendar or something. You still have to create an OAuth app because you just can't get around that part. But even that upstream OAuth, you don't have to implement that. It's just a config that you add to the route at the identity-aware proxy level. And yeah, aside from that, that upstream OAuth flow that you have, those tokens that you get back, they never leave the gateway. So when you go ahead and register an MCP client, MCP server through the client, it's going to do that whole flow. You're going to say, yes, I authorize. The token's going to come back, but it will never leave the gateway. What will actually end up at the MCP client is just a short-lived JWT. Yeah, and like I mentioned, the fine-grained policies, they can be applied at the MCP level, but also at the tool level, and we'll go through that later. This is just some YAML, because people love YAML, but the top one here, this is just an example of a route where it's just got an MCP configuration. There's nothing to it. This is just like the regular OAuth flow, but it just, by deeming it MCP, it handles a few things for you in the identity-aware proxy. If you're doing upstream, like I said, you don't have to implement this. You just have to do the config. So you still need the client ID and secret. You set your scopes and the endpoints. Now, Like I said, it's stateless and simple. You get past a short-lived bearer token back to the MCP client, and this works with any MCP client that's up to the standard. So that's Claude, ChatGPT, and Dev Mode now, which came out I think like a week ago. Goose, which we've heard of, and I'll be showing Goose a bit later too. VS Code, and I don't know any other MCP clients aside from the demo I built that handle this. There's a lot of things like LibreChat or like OpenWebUI. They have MCP support, but it's typically configured in a JSON, or you're doing like that MPX, what is it, remote MCP, and then you fire your thing, but you typically have to put like a API key or a hard-coded token in there. And so like, I haven't found any other clients that really do the actual OAuth flow aside from these I mentioned. Yeah, and like I said, the clients don't need to manage the auth, and they just get past that short-lived token. All right, let's take a demo, and I don't know if people saw it before, but I pulled a Men in Black. I dragged the table over here, so just need some water. So there's a few things here. So I'm going to show a few things. There's the hosted GitHub MCP server. It's not open source, or at least I couldn't find it. They have one that you use with standard I/O. So basically, I just vibe coded converting it to an HTTP streamable, and that is it, just as like kind of like a naked remote MCP server. And I added the OAuth by just simply adding configuration to the route in Pomerium here. So I can kind of show you what that looks like. So if we just go here, let me zoom in a bit. All right, and this is all build up to kind of building MCP servers with security in mind from day one. And the thing, I just needed to give you this preamble, but the point is you can start doing local dev, and you can actually debug stuff, whether you're testing out your MCP server in like Claude Code or Goose or wherever. But if we go to one of the routes here, so if we look at like the GitHub MCP, for example, so basically Identity Proxy, they have a from route, which is the public URL, and then you have an internal one here. So the internal one here is just like the way I have this set up, it's just Docker Compose. So this is just available on the Docker network. And I have a policy here. So I'm going to remove that for now. But the policy right now is just only I can access this. And if we take a look at the MCP settings, again, I'm not implementing the upstream OAuth flow in the MCP server. All I have to do is create the client ID, the secret, and paste it in here. And then I just have like my URLs that I need to get the tokens and authorization. And that's pretty much it. And I have my scopes defined here. So let me just save that for a second. And now, if we go ahead and grab one of these, let me just get the actual URL. Okay, so these are the URLs for the MCP servers. So let me just go ahead and grab the GitHub one. And let's go over to like Goose here. And let's just say settings. And we'll just add a custom extension. I don't know why nobody calls them MCP server. Claude calls them integration. Anyways, and they're the ones that created it, but I digress. So we'll just call this GitHub MCP. And this will be HTTP streamable. And I'm just going to paste in the endpoint. And I'm going to go ahead and add it. Now, you're going to see here, I'm already logged into the server, but Goose, the MCP client, just went through the OAuth flow, and it was successful. So I'm going to close that. And then like, if I come to Goose now, I can say like, I don't know, create a repo. Let me zoom this in so people can see. Create a repo called MCP Summit. And we'll see what the demo gods are going to do. But so I'm going to fire this off. Goose, Tools array too long? Okay, all right. Cool, I guess demo fail. But let me go ahead and try it in my client just to see. There's other servers I'll show, but this one here, so this is the MCP client that I built a while ago. This was for just a demo, but we actually use it now. So I'm going to attach the GitHub MCP in. I'm already connected, so I don't have to go through the OAuth flow. And I'll just say, like, create a repo called MCP Summit. Hopefully it doesn't give that same error, but we'll see. So you're going to see a tool call is going to happen. And OK. It can't create it. I think that's because I denied the policy, even though I think I removed it. But OK, so the tool call is not allowing me for that to happen. And if you look here, you can see, let me zoom this in. Where is it? So the deny is true here, and it tells you it was a tool call. And you can see it says, yeah, so MCP tool create repository here. So this is the auditing I was talking about. So like when you change policies and stuff, immediately you lose access to things or you gain access to things. So this is, because everything is going through the gateway, you get that auditing for free. Cool, let me just take a quick sip here. Now, the other one is, I was in Will's coworker's his team's workshop yesterday. They had a workshop with MCP UI and Nanobot. So I did all that, and then I was like, I want to see if I can get MCP UI working. So basically, I'll show you how I get set up to do development. So right now, if we go here, and we look at, like, say, the chess MCP, which is Will's coworker Darren, not Karen, MCP server he created. So we can see here, here's the URL. And currently I'm using Visual Studio Code tunneling. We have SSH tunneling coming, but the point is, like, you can obviously just tunnel, but this doesn't have the OAuth that you get out of the box with our Identity proxy. But the cool thing here is I can, like, go run this thing in, like, hopefully Goose doesn't die. But if I come back here, OK, I don't have the chess one added. So let me add the chess MCP. Where'd you go? Here. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and add this to Goose. And chess. Streamable. This is SSE. And we'll do, oh no, it's HTTP. Let's go add the endpoint. Cool. It should go ahead. Okay, I'm logged in again. All right, I can just say, like, really? Okay, I'll do it in my client. I just wanted to show it in other clients too. But the main point I want to show here is you can do development with the Identity proxy, have a publicly accessible URL with OAuth all happening, and you can still do other things. So if I go to the chess MCP here, I can say, like, start a game. Now, it's going to go ahead and call that MCP server. Oh, man. Cool. 1 second here. Is the server stopped? No, it's running. Cool. All right. Let's try this again. And we'll do there. Start a game. OK, so that error is because that's something to do with the MCP UI, I believe. But it looks like it's started. So let's do, say, move E4. This is just a chess thing. Okay, so it's still working. LLMs aren't always fast, I guess. Let's see here. Okay, it's still going. All right, well, it made the call. What I wanted to show you was, because I have a debugger breakpoint here, it's more to just show you that I'm actually doing development with a server here. So let me try starting it again just to see. And we can pop it here. All right, let's just say move E4. The demo gods are not playing nice today, but that's okay. The main points while this is just going is, it's really, you can be running an identity-aware proxy that gives you a publicly accessible URL. You get the whole OAuth flow for free, so you can actually go and test this in like Goose or Claude or ChatGPT. And then you can be doing this dev on your local machine. So clearly, it's not like in something, but I wonder if the internet is, let me tether it to my phone maybe. Yeah. That's all good. It was bound to happen at some point. I've had a pretty good track record so far. Okay, let's just start this again. No, I think that's worse. Anyways, but yeah, the point is, I'll switch it back to the other one. The point is, you can work with this uniform security posture while you're doing development. Like that's my main point. Is obviously would have been a lot cooler to show it with the demo, but essentially, I think I'm generalizing, but devs in general, like especially in the AI space right now, like because I was like at the AI World Fair and like even the other MCP Dev Summit, and people are really excited to build stuff, and it's cool that people are building stuff, but I think security is kind of like, not everybody, but like I don't think people think of it as like a first thing. So like with this workflow, you can start working with security in mind right away. So let's try this again. And is the port forwarding on? Yes, okay. Cool. I have a feeling it'll probably fail again, but that's okay. We got 3 colors and then eventually 4, I guess. We'll give it a second, but yeah. Okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna assume that it just died. So what we solved, even though the live demo did not, for developers, you get that zero OAuth code. You get OAuth out of the box, but you just have to configure routes. You can have a remote MCP server over public internet securely. It works with server sent events and HTTP streamable MCP servers. And you can do this like immediately. It's not like a 3 days, speak to somebody in the org to get you set up and stuff. And the nice thing about this is, instead of building something cool and then once they say, let's go to prod, you don't have all this stuff in place already. The transition to go to production is ideally smoother. And yeah, for platform teams, like I don't work at an AI company. The identity-aware proxy just secures internal resources in general. It just happens to fit well with MCP because it's at layer 7, HTTP. But you can get this uniform security posture through any apps, including your remote MCP servers. You saw the tool level control per user at least. That's the red when they try to create the repo. You get the auditing out of the box, and you don't need a VPN because you just don't. And the thing is, like if your org is currently using a VPN and you're looking at securing MCP servers, unless you're running local models, you won't be able to use like a Claude or like a ChatGPT because they have no idea about your VPN. And like, even if they said, yeah, we'll support VPNs, like it's just not feasible. Like millions of companies giving all their like login access through the VPN. Anyways, So if you are an org and you're looking to secure MCPs, VPN is not the way to go. Yeah, so even though the demo died, ideally you'll be able to do this quickly and have security at the get-go. Like I said, the public remote MCP, even during dev, zero trust principles applied, and you get OAuth managed centrally, including upstream stuff. And you get observability out of the box and VPN for the third time. And that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go check the demo anyways to see, yeah, okay, something happened. But anyways, thanks everybody.